Good morning. Good morning. My goodness, that was loud. My phone, I'm going to mute it today or something. It just keeps dinging. Sorry, folks. Maybe I can keep it quieter now. Anyway, good morning, Carol. Good morning, whoever. Let me see. I can't see the rest of the chat. There we go. Nobody else showed up. I thought there was a. I guess they timed out. There was a couple other names in here a minute ago. Let me go to live chat. Good morning. Morning's the right word for Brenda Carol. Because she just got up, woke up. I had to go wake her up. And in fact, I don't know where Tedward's at. I think Tedward's might still be in bed. Good morning, Doug. Zippity doo Doug is in the room. No, in the house. Anyway, he's with us. Ian, oh man, good to see you, Ian. No, I got bad news, buddy. Well, not bad for you necessarily, but bad for somebody else. Mark would love to see you, and he's not going to be here today. I don't think he might pop in. Glad you could pop in, Ian. Sorry, guys. Maybe if I yawn, I'll get this yawning over with here in a second. Take some good deep breaths. Maybe I can overcome the oxygen loss or whatever it is that makes you yawn. How is beautiful and mountainous Colorado? Maybe I need this stuff intravenously. So how's Michigan today, Carol? We missed Carol last week. Carol had a power failure. And how are you, Doug? What's going on out here? Been very hot. Oh, really? Well, how hot in that part of the Rocky Mountain State? Although I think you're down off the Front Range, aren't you? In the more the prairie part of Colorado, a little bit anyway. Or you? I can't remember exactly. I used to know exactly where you were at. Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys. The McNeils are in the house. Howdy, Tina and Chuck. Well, that's good, Doug. Okay. So how hot have you been getting? I know. I mean, I've been reading Arizona and places have had some. It was 99 yesterday. Well, I think we're actually better than that, but I bet it feels about the same with our humidity. Although we've had a little bit of a break. Yeah, I did see that. I got a notice from him. That's good. Good to see him back online. Well, darn it, Chuck. Hate to lose a fan. Will you tell him we missed him, Tina? Or I tell you what you could do. You could send the dogs back in there to go to sleep with him, and you could shut the door and just enjoy good company and coffee and let him take care of it. Was in Florida a couple of weeks ago to drop daughter off. We aren't that miserable. Well, you got lower humidity for one thing. They've been. I've heard and read stories about them too. They've been. My daughter was down there about that same time, and she said it was miserably hot. I can't remember what your daughter was. She going down there to work or going down there to go to school? Good morning, Diana G. Welcome. I sure hope you brought donuts. Yeah, what Carol asked. Lakeland. Been through there, been by there many times. I don't know if I can say through there or not. Mike. Mike. What happened to that Canadian friendship, friendliness, and generosity and neighborly feeling that you buy donuts and share them with us? Me anyway. Thank you, Carol. Glad you got that. I wondered if anybody'd pick up on that. I think it's good. It's back to bed. I think. Well, that's a good point, Carol. Maybe it is back to good night. Sorry, there's no friends when it comes to donut. God, that is shallow, Mike. Oh my gosh. And to think how many times I've gone to bat for you about a horse trailer with living quarters and all that kind of stuff. And there you are throwing me right under the donut bus or the box anyway. Empty box. I don't have any donuts today. You should feel really bad about that. Yeah, I bet you're sorry. What was it we used to say? You're up there. He is. Hey, buddy. You're about as sorry as one dog waiting on another to eat breakfast. Whoever gets there first gets it. Hi, bud. Come up here and say hi. Somebody else just got up too. He might be a little grumpy. Come on. Hi there. Come up here and say hi to everybody. Say hi, Carol. Tim, there's no wife when it comes to donut. Oh, Diana, you didn't get any either? Mike. I thought you'd been married long enough to know better than that. You want to tell everybody how you just got out of bed? Not going to, huh? I got ear kisses. I did. Got one anyway. You want to look into the camera? You want the microphone? All right, it's time to get comfortable. He wants to listen and see what's going on today. Carol said hello. I see what you did there, Ian. That's right. You don't need to be faster than the donut, but you do have to be faster than Mike. And if you're not fast enough, Ian, you'll lose a hand. Or as Jerry Clower used to say, there was a scream in the dark from the kitchen table, and when the lights came back on, his fork was in the back of Uncle Percy's hand. If you never heard that story, that's about the last piece of chicken. So it can be that way with donuts too, Mike, but most people don't eat them with a fork. Did I say donuts in the back of his hand? Hopefully I said forks. Mike said good morning also. He said it in Canadian, but I interpreted. Okay. He said he don't speak Canadian. But he also doesn't eat donuts, so you're off the hook there, Mike. You guys might Canada, eh? Oh. Ian said hi, Teddy. You hadn't seen Ian in forever. Let me get that. Teddy is the first. I believe Teddy is the first cat that I've ever had. Brenda can weigh in on this too, unless she's already fallen back to sleep. Hang on, I got to close the door Teddy opened. Give me just a second. So, Brenda, what I was going to say was, I believe Teddy's the first cat I've ever had, and maybe we've ever had, that doesn't get sleepy in his eyes, as we used to call it with kids, or eye boogers, as some people call them. But he never has little crunchies in the corners of his eyes. Most cats get that kind of like people do, or some people do. Wakey, Brenda. But he doesn't. He never has them. I don't know. If he just cleans his face real well, or if maybe it all goes in his nose, because he's always got a dirty nose. Yeah, for those that got here later, Mark's not going to be here today. Yeah, Ian, every cat I've ever known, because the girls and Brenda and me too, for that matter, always, clean it out when they get in our lap or something, we clean sleep out of their eyes. But he never has it. Hopefully that doesn't mean he's got, eye moisture problems or something, but he doesn't seem to. So anyway, what was I just saying? Oh, Mark won't be here today. I got a note from him late last night that he apparently, as he put it, he said apparently we have a family thing in the morning, so I won't be able to make it. So apparently it was an apparent occasion that he was apparently not told about until last night, apparently. Well, I'd be glad to have Mike on anytime if Mike wants to show up. If he wants to come on, I'll send him a link. Or Doug, you can come on if you want a link. I'll send you a link. I won't send Ian a link because he's at work. I wouldn't want him to get in trouble. But I know what Mike's doing. He's eating donuts and watching this. Well, or ate the donuts. He's probably covered in crumbs. Mike, if you want to come on, I'll send you the link on my Instagram. Stuck in a coffee lane right now. No link, please. Okay, no link for Ian. If you're in a coffee lane, if it's Starbucks, get a piece of lemon pound cake and eat it for me. I do like their lemon pound cake. Line, lane, whatever. Well, it depends on if you're standing in it or if you're sitting in your car, I guess. Still, you're in a line, though, aren't you? You're queued up either way you look at it. Chuck and I are ensconced on the porch. Know at a place called Black Rock. My favorite right now, Black Rock. Black Rock. I don't know if I've heard Black Rock coffee or not. I may be thinking of Black Rifle, which I've not had. Mark drinks Black Rifle, I think. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not. I said Starbucks. I'm really not a big Starbucks fan, coffee wise. They got great lemon pound cake, but man, they make good, like Christmas coffees. And although I've never had a pumpkin spice, I don't think maybe once. I like their mocha coffees and their mint coffees in the wintertime, but which are not good for me to drink because they're more fattening, of course. But I just haven't. Just to drink their coffee. I think it's too bitter, and I like strong coffee. Don't get me wrong there, but I don't know. I just don't like theirs. Doug says I just found out that one Dunkin'. Wait a minute. I just found out one Dunkin' frozen coffee has the same amount of sugar in 17 donuts. Well, bring on the donuts then. Carol says we have live coverage of the coffee line at Black Rock. Send in the link, Tim. We need live. That's right, we do, Ian. We need live coverage of the line. Now we find out that Chloe has pink eye boogers. I gotta get you a better. I gotta need to make you a little avatar logo thing, Brenda, for your. Doug says he can come on in. Yeah, let me. I think I've got your Instagram, don't I, Doug? Let me be right back, Doug. There you go, Doug. Only took me a few minutes to do that. Hey, I want you guys to know, Carol, you guys might be proud of me. I've already got I made sure that I had my slides set up and they worked this morning. Now, if they don't work now, I don't know what's causing it. Poor Chloe. I hope her eyes aren't bothering her. Don't worry, Chloe's fine. Chloe gets a lot of extra sympathy from her mama. Black Rock has started in Oregon. Not sure how far east they've made it. Well, Carol, no, Carol didn't say that. Heading to breakfast burrito, then work now. Oh man, good. I bet you guys can get some decent breakfast burritos, unless you're just going through McDonald's or something. Yeah, it does. That's what I think, Tina. It tastes to me. I think they overdo it somewhere along the line. They over roast it or something, and then they've convinced everybody in the world that it's really good coffee. And I'm not that keen on it. Oh, I'll drink it, Carol. Don't get me wrong. I've drank far worse actually. Because when that's all you got, that's all you got. But I don't know. It's just not like Tina says. To me, it tastes bitter or burnt or something. Now, is that pronounced Mikochina? Ian or Mikochina? Just looked up Black Rock. It hasn't made it to the Midwest yet. All right, we know it's still west of the Mississippi then. Michelle, hey Michelle, welcome in. Man, you are up early. Let's check that alarm clock. Oh, and Kay got it. Hey, Kay, welcome in. Didn't see you come in. I'm too busy flapping my jaws. Maybe if I read it over here, it looks more like I'm looking at the screen because I realize when I'm down here reading it, you guys probably think I'm not paying attention to the camera. We drink the True North or breakfast blend from Starbucks. Nothing else tastes burnt. I don't even know if I know what that is. You ready to come in, Doug? There he is.
What's happening?
Well, it looks nice on your porch.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, is it? You guys going to be hot today?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Brenda. Do you know what it's supposed to get up to today here? I hadn't even looked. Oh, wait a minute. I got a note. Did I get a note? No. I was going to check the weather here.
Good morning, everybody.
It's 74 right now. Looks like we're supposed to get to the mid 80s, which really is not bad considering the time of year it is.
Yeah, we're supposed to be upper 80s, lower 90s for the next week.
Is that an improvement or hot?
That's hot. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Kay. I think I said hello to everybody in there.
You did say you might be up early this morning. That's true. Still, it's early. It's by some standards for Saturday morning. Even I got up earlier than that my time, but it's not much. Being retired, I don't really hurry out of bed much anymore.
Morning, Michael.
Michelle, I wish. She's shivering because it's only going to get in the mid 70s. Man, I wish it'd stay in the mid 70s here.
Yeah. We were in the lower 70s most of the week.
Oh wow, that'd be
so
nice.
Now shooting up to 90. It's gonna be warm.
You guys are, if I recall, you guys are about as humid as we are up there. Well, it
Yeah.
depends, I guess, but um, down here it's even humid in the wintertime. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I can already see the humidity in the air.
motorcycles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought it sounded like Harleys.
Yeah, that's his morning ride. He goes out every morning.
uh, well, good for him, whoever he is.
Yeah. One of my neighbors, but I don't know.
Diana, that's just not right. Oh, it could be smoke. Yeah, it could be. Mark told me they were having smoky skies again. I didn't think there was anything up that way burning.
I don't think it's smoke. The smoke looks different when we got it uh, earlier in the summer, and then when I got home in end of June, I would say like second week of July. I mean, there were times that I couldn't even see maybe a mile away because it
No,
was just so
wow.
thick.
We 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 got some of that, I think, in higher altitudes, but we didn't have it real bad in here. It. I mean, I guess it got all the way down into Georgia, but it wasn't as bad as you guys, or at least it wasn't here. As some people in the north, like New York, got it bad. Tina, did you guys had it pretty thick too, didn't you? I'm going to assume that our Canadian friends here had it bad, since that's where it was coming from. Unless it all blew south before it got your house, Diana and Mike. I thought I smelled some the other day. Not sure where the fires are. Well, that might be what Mark was talking about too. Then, Ian, they're expecting lower 80s there in Michigan. That's not. You got a football game today, Carol? Is Michigan playing? Well, this is not a normal topic of discussion for me, but I have to ask if there's any football fans in the crowd. I know Carol is, at least Michigan football fan. What is going on with uh, all these conference expansions? I mean, my gosh, it was announced last night that the Atlantic Coast Conference has added a school from Texas and two schools from California. That's the Pacific Coast. Why in the world would they join the Atlantic Coast Conference? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't get. I didn't. When I saw that, I was just like, Michigan plays at 12 o'clock against East Carolina.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. I did see that because I
Uh, Pitt
thought go
Pitt
ahead.
plays. I'm a Pitt fan. Pitt plays Wofford at 3:30.
It is a train wreck, Ian. I mean, is the Big Ten still a Big Ten? I don't even know who where those teams have jumped out of.
I
It's hard
I
to
think
be hard.
I
Tina
think
ain't that hard. I
I
mean,
think I think it's the Big 30 now, not the Big 10.
well, that's about how the Southeastern Conference is getting. They just added Texas and Oklahoma, but that makes a little more sense because at least that's in the South, even though it's not really Southeast.
Morning, John.
Any clams this morning, John?
John.
Those teams to play now, for those teams to play conference games, if they bother, they're going to fly all the way across the country. It's not like they can just drive from Knoxville to Tuscaloosa or something and play a football game. To Georgia, Athens, and play football. That's just nuts. I never figured that out. 18 teams. Oh, 18 teams. USC, UCLA, and Washington, and Oregon next year. So those teams have left the what was that? The West, was that WAC? WA CWA, what was that? Western Athletic Conference or something? There's got to be a conference or two out there that's not got anybody to play.
The thing about these conferences is it's all about the TV revenue and what the colleges can get. And that's like when Pitt and Miami and all them, they were in the Big East.
Yeah.
Big East had a big TV contract. And then all at once, the ACC got their own network. And then they got a bigger. So, I mean, a lot of those teams, jumped ship and went to them.
That's a good point. And there is something to that. And it must be really good money.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah, I heard that one of those teams, or maybe all three of those teams, were the conference they were leaving. This might have been the California teams. They have to pay an exit fee. And that exit fee, as I recall from listening to the ball game last night, was quite a significant sum. I mean, in the millions. And so it must be worth, them being penalized to that much to join the other conference. And maybe they get paid to join the conference. I don't know. Maybe it evens out, but
it's all about profit sharing. Each school gets a certain revenue depending on, what the contracts fulfill. Like, that's why Notre Dame isn't in a conference. They have their own contracts with NBC.
Right.
That they make. Oh, man, do they make big money.
Yeah, they're on NBC, and now they're on along with that, I guess, now they're on the Peacock channel. So they've not only got a channel on, not only is NBC showing them all the time, but they got something they can be on all the time.
Well, Peacock's owned by NBC.
Yeah, I know. I knew that, but I was just saying they've added them to that too. So it's they got their own little icon now on the Peacock channel. You can click it and watch Notre Dame, which I'm not a fan. I tried to watch them play Navy because I was rooting for Navy, but I'm just not a big Notre Dame fan. So
neither am I.
I'm always
yes, Mike.
In my lifetime. Do what?
Yes, Mike. I follow sports a lot.
So you say you're a Pitt fan or not?
I'm a Pitt fan. All Pittsburgh teams. Even the Pirates. It's sad, but
oh, they've had their day. They'll come back.
Well, we've been hearing that for 25 years.
Well,
the owner they got now, he just does not want to put money into the team.
Hard to win these days if you don't want to put money into it.
No, exactly. He owns his newspapers and he owns a couple ski resorts, and that's where his money goes.
Reminds me of a John Prine song.
Mike, I don't really follow the CFL. I've seen a couple games. One thing I like about the CFL is the field's bigger, which I like.
Is what? No, the field's bigger?
Yeah.
I tell you what I don't get, and I watch some CFL because I can get it on sometimes and find a game there once in a while when I'm just got a football Jones going. But the one thing I don't get about CFL, and I know why they do it. I remember when they first started showing them down here and explaining the difference in the rule. The 3 down thing to me is that especially with that bigger field, it just doesn't seem to give them time to move the ball. You throw it once you throw it once or run it once, and you're pretty much done unless you can really move the ball, which I understand is their whole idea was to speed up the game and higher scoring. I don't know if higher scoring is such a big deal or not really to people, but it is to some, but that doesn't necessarily make the game more exciting for me. If the game's not a close game, even a low scoring game, can be exciting unless you're just there for points. And I don't know, maybe gambling drives that too. But that seems to be affecting a lot of things right now,
Right.
and probably driving some of this that's going into these conference football teams. Be my guess.
I'm kind of curious about what John said.
When do
Rutgers, University of Miami, and okay, I like the story behind that because those are completely all different conferences and different sides of the country.
I can explain some of it, but I'll let John tell you. Well, unless he'd rather I say it, so you don't have to type it. Least favorite part of Raglan Road was all of the Notre Dame merch. Oh, Ian, I didn't know. I don't remember that. I probably should have. I've been in there, but it's been a while. John, I'm a big USAF Air Force fan. He's in Wyoming. Well, John's a university
Okay.
was
I
there
get
in the Air Force. I know that. And Rutgers because they're in his home state.
that. Well, yeah, I kind of figured Rutgers. I didn't know the
Yeah,
Miami.
because he was in the Air Force would be my guess. John, am I close? Yeah, he was stationed in Wyoming in the Air Force. He's a steely-eyed missile man. John is. Name that movie.
He's a good golfer too.
Yeah, I know he plays golf, so I suspect he is. All right, I got it right. The old memories firing tonight today.
Now,
Yep,
is that base in Wyoming? Is that like top secret stuff because it's like out in the middle of nowhere?
a little bit. Some of it anyway. Not all of it, I guess. Well, I know that he's told us enough to know that it ain't all. And besides that, it's probably outdated by now. But
I went through Wyoming once. We took a trip when I was like 13 out to Washington to see my dad's family. And beautiful, beautiful land out there.
yeah, did you see any of the missile silos?
No.
No, yeah, they're out there. You just don't really notice them unless you know what to look for.
Yeah, they blend in.
Yes, they do.
We
There's
went through Yellowstone. We went Mount Rushmore.
Oh, cool.
That
The thing
was the
about
longest
silos
we.
is it's not much above ground.
Yeah, aren't they in the ground?
Yeah, most of them are buried underneath the earth, so you don't see them.
Actually, we used to have one probably 4 miles away from me. It's called the old Nike site, um, military base,
Yeah,
and they actually had, um, there was a missile silo in the ground there.
was
That was
that a strategic Air Force base? Do you
I don't
know?
know what it was. It was when I was it closed probably before I was 10. So, but I know that, yeah, it was up on the hill and, it's, I mean, nobody really, you weren't allowed nowhere near it.
Oh no, Tina, I like that philosophy. I can vouch for some of that kind of stuff. Not, but I gotta ask, why Syracuse? Doesn't that? I mean, that's in your state. Is that just a personal thing, or is there something else going on there? My mom and dad used to have a running feud. Bless her, God may they rest in peace. But they were baseball fans, and my mom loved the New York Yankees, and they were fairly popular down here years ago. And but my dad was in that group of people who rooted for anybody who was playing and beating the Yankees. He didn't. He had no use for the Yankees. And so when they were in the World Series, Dad was always rooting for whoever else was playing, and Mom would be cheering on the Yankees. Luckily, they weren't bitter rivals, but they were definitely rivals.
No, Mike, they don't do tours. Actually, it's basically all gone. They totally stripped it away, and now it's a local park.
I kind of thought you might be. Okay, what about the Gamecocks? Are you just well? I guess in South Carolina it might be divided a bit though. You're either a Clemson fan or a South Carolina or a Carolina fan, as they stay down there. 'Cause I've known Carolina people that South Carolina people that were big, big, big South Carolina fans, and they didn't like Clemson. In Alabama, you either root for you're either an Alabama fan or you're an Auburn fan, and never shall the twain meet. They don't get along. I've known families ripped apart on certain weekends in the fall. Tina says he doesn't like Syracuse because they beat St. Bonaventure in basketball. Now they don't even play them, but Chuck still can. Well, yeah, I'm good with that, Chuck. Chuck and I are probably a lot in that we don't like change. So, hang on to a good grudge. No Gamecocks for me, Kay said. They are enemy. I thought so.
Yeah, John, that must have been what it was. Because it's still called to this day a Nike site, so it must have been what you just said, Nike Zeus missiles.
Oh, they were nuclear surface to air.
Yeah. So it's still to this day called Nike site.
I remember the Nike name before it was ever on a tennis shoe from missiles, I thought.
Because in the Cold War, beginning of the Cold War, Pittsburgh was one of the biggest targets because back then that's where all the steel came from.
Yeah, that would put it on a list, I'm sure.
It was always. I remember as a kid, we in elementary school during the Cold War, we'd have to do like air raid things. We'd have to go down the basement, cover our heads and everything. Talk about emotional damage on children,
Oh, yeah, duck and cover kind of stuff. Yeah, we had where we live now is right close. We're just a few miles. Well, I say a few miles because nuclear. When you think about it,
you were a Minuteman. John was a Minuteman.
Yeah,
I've read about them. Oh, that's awesome. What a job that's got to be.
Oh, I had an intruder there. What was cool about that, John? I think you have what's the word I'm looking for? Corroborated this. Mark said that sometimes they moved his understanding when he was out in the east part of the state, which is where missile silos were, or the ones he knew about anyway, the ones he showed me. You never really knew which ones were hot and which ones weren't. They moved them around from time to time to keep everybody guessing. At least I'm guessing they did that after they reduced the number we had, supposedly.
I'm just curious to know on how many missile silos there are still in the country, like active silos. You think thousands or?
No, I don't know if there were ever. Well, counting things like the Nike sites, there were air-to-air missile type things, or ground to air. But I don't know. They were in Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, and they were 450. John says, "There you go." See, the thing about nuclear weapons is, John, you could probably maybe tell us this if they still won't kill you, or you don't have to kill us. One nuclear missile carried multiple warheads, so once they launched those things, they could drop I don't know how many different bombs. At least that's always been my understanding. Maybe that's not entirely true, but John, you're the expert. There were some here at Griffiths too. Not enough, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about that, Mike. I don't think it. Like I said, I don't think it took that many. I mean, there comes a point when I think you're dealing with diminishing returns there.
Oh my goodness.
Everything's dead. It used to be 650 Minuteman, 50 MX, and 40 Titans. Wow.
John, you can't get in trouble for like disclosing this information, can you?
Like I said, that's probably all old hat now. He's been out for a long time.
Dad,
Yes, ma'am.
that white shirt, does it go in your laundry?
Yes, please.
He
Sorry.
No, that's all right. John says Griffiths had SRAMs and Bomax. I'm not nuclear tip. Oh, they're like battle. So they were like battlefield type weapons, John.
Common knowledge.
It's common knowledge. Well, I knew about some of it. And now somebody asked about touring sites. I guess that was Ian. Or no, maybe it was Mike. You know, Mike, a few years ago, you could buy a nuclear silo or an empty silo. Some parts of the country, they had some for sale, and there's actually been some pretty high dollar houses built in those things, or living quarters, maybe I should say. And there have been some that have been turned into fallout shelters by private individuals who sell you a place to, if you've got the do re mi, they'll sell you a bed down in the ground that lived through the nuclear winter.
I think I saw a special on that, John, the one in Cheyenne. They actually, I saw a documentary on it where they took you in it and they showed you, where the Minutemen sat and all the buttons. And the guy looked and he said, if you turn this key, if the two people turn the keys at the same time and hit the button, guess what?
Yeah.
Things were going to happen.
Mike says, no, wait a minute here. Let me see. Mike says, he would love to buy one and live in it, but Diane's not too crazy about that. I'd say it'd be comfortable. I always thought below grade houses were pretty cool. Now, a missile silo goes down in the ground a bit, and you don't have any real daylight coming in, so I might not like that as much. We saw them being planted back when I was a kid. They were actually put in tunnels. Most of the missile sites turned in homes were the Atlas sites. Okay. Now, John, you should have come in today and we could have talked all about missile sites. That would have been cool. We may have to do that one Saturday when fishing season's over. Well, Mike, we got your back, buddy. Don't worry about that. We got you covered.
Brenda.
You know if there's any U.S. sites in Canada, Mike? John, do you know? Oh, wait a minute. Let me skip. Let's go to the source. John, do you know? Did the U.S. ever have any missile sites in Canada? I wouldn't be too surprised. If I lived in one of those, I'd be prepared for a zombie apocalypse. Well, that'd probably be the next best thing to living on an island. Because they can't swim, Mike. I learned that. So, I think on an island you'd be safe from zombies, but one might wash ashore once in a while. John has no idea about Canada.
Oh, there goes Mike bringing up Bigfoots.
Awesome stuff to talk about. Yes, we need to do more of that. NORAD is here. Well, yeah, NORAD's up there. Now, I wouldn't doubt that they're not protected by something, maybe like John was saying, maybe some ground to air stuff. If not,
NORAD tracks Santa at Christmas time.
That's right. And they're in a great big giant mountain out by Ian, too, as their home base somewhere. I don't know, Ian, is that a place you may not know where it is, but I know that's because there's an above ground part of that facility anyway.
I you know,
I'm not
something
sure I want
digging.
to get anything. If they decide to blow us all to hell and back, I don't know if I even want to be around. I think I might just soon be dead. Yes, they do. And
Santa in big balloons.
oh, the Santa number. Oh, cool. Mike's gonna write a letter to NORAD to look for Bigfoot. You know, Mike, if they'd gotten on board years ago, we might have proved one way or the other by now. NORAD is based in Colorado Springs, Cheyenne Mountain. Okay, it would be interesting, Michelle. I think if you're talking about getting John on here to talk about missiles and
Yeah,
missiles,
that'd be great.
You need to come outside?
Carol said, John, you should definitely come on the show once there and tell us more about your work in the Air Force. Yeah, you should, John.
You coming?
John has been to NORAD and it's pretty cool. I could, Carol. I could do that indeed. And John, I'd go over them with you beforehand, make sure we weren't, releasing anything off Google that was classified. I can do slides now. Buddy, we can have a regular slide show. I'm telling you. Well, speaking of that, I probably ought to get started with my little slideshow. I don't have that much today. Mark and I had some topics, but we didn't get to sit down and work on them any. So, and I tried to get my buddy Phil to come on, but he was busy. Brenda says she knows how to kill zombies, so I've got your back, Mike.
How do we get on zombie talk now?
Mike brought up zombies. He figured if he could get down in a missile silo and live during the apocalypse, he would expect that when it came out.
Pick her up. Bring her to me.
The zombie apocalypse. And my wife is pseudo specialist for zombies. I'm going to put my slideshow up here. I was going to talk today.
Here, Tim. There's my little baby.
Yeah. Hey, puppy. What is he or she?
She. Her name's Bailey. A little Shih Tzu.
I thought it was a Shih Tzu, but I wasn't going to say till I was sure. Wasn't that what Momo was, Brenda? She looks a lot like my daughter's dog, Momo.
Yeah. She's old. She's going deaf.
Yeah, Momo was too. John, the NORAD CANR headquarters is at the Air Force Base up there. Oh, cool. Tina said, hi, Bailey. Carol said, hi, Bailey, and foot dog print.
You want to go in?
John said, heck, you can find missile silos on Google Maps and Wiki shows the longitude, latitude for all the sites. Boy, that's helpful. The Russians or whoever wouldn't even need to look them up. They can just get them off. They can get the lat long off of Google and then just, type them into their computers.
You know what's good about Shih Tzus, Tim? Is they don't shed.
Yeah. Hers did do was bark at some people, and she barked at Phil, my buddy Phil, anytime he came over. She just would not let it go, and I think it bothered him. Well, it bothered him. It bothered me. It's aggravating, but there was something about Phil she did not like.
She only barks when she's hungry or she needs outside.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. All right, guys. We're going to talk a little bit. Our son flew an F-18 flight simulator yesterday, part of the flight. Oh, cool. That would be fun, Mike. My goodness.
All right, Tim, I'm going to jump out.
Okay.
You can go through your slides, but I'll still be here. I got a couple things I got to get done around the house before I get yelled at from the missus.
Well, thanks for coming in, Doug. I appreciate
Absolutely, buddy.
it.
Have
Maybe
a great day.
you too. Thank you.
Yep, I'll see you.
See ya. All right, guys. Mark who? Ian said, "Good to see." Is Mark in here? No, not Mark. He might have meant Doug. Doug. Okay. No, that's Tina said that. Oh hell, it was Ian. I don't know why I'm confused. I really wanted Mark to see this picture. I found this picture in my camera. I'd had this for a while. He looks a little younger than this. And I had to put it up there just for his benefit, and then he didn't make it. But I already had the slide made, so. Oh, go get your coffee, Michelle. Lord, good Lord, don't deprive yourself. So I didn't even put it on here, did I? I did change my title up here a little bit. Mark and Tim's TP with friends. And it is a good shot. This was, believe it or not, Carol, this was a work shot in photo. He was going out. They were doing some kind of surveys and horseback. They did that a lot. And this is his actual work uniform. If you can see, he's got on blue jeans, a red shirt, and this green vest was probably a Filson wool vest. That was all kind of part of their uniform. And they had red hats. No, wait a minute. They had green hats. And I've got one of those myself. I acquired one of those one of my visits out there. I think this was probably a borrowed pony or maybe an agency pony. I don't think that was his. I've got another one with him. I'll use it probably again too someday. But he just looks a lot younger than this and not quite as gray. And he looks like he's talking, so he may have been given one of his public safety or public announcement kind of things. He did several of those. It's in Wyoming, Carol, but I don't know exactly where. He had a district or a region that he worked out of, but he was all over the state too at different times. Mike said he flew with other real pilots that have flown F-18s in this flight simulator group. It was really a proud moment to see him take off and land, and then the instructor said it was beautiful. Well, that's cool. That's not, I mean, if that was his first time flying it, Mike, I'd say that was pretty good. They may be looking to hire him. You never know. Mike, was that with, who flies F-18s up there in Canada? Is that down here, that F-18s are primarily, I don't know if there's any of them that aren't Navy/Marines. I don't think the Air Force flies F-18s down here. And our Army doesn't have fixed wing stuff anymore. It's all rotor wing. I think that must be I got to figure out what that thing is. I think it must be Facebook. So anyway, we're going to talk about the Air Force. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, for down here, they were all carrier based. Well, probably not all carrier based, but as far as I know, the only groups down here that fly them are Marines and Navy. Instructor said it was his skills that he's learned from gliding that made him go. How much of that now has he done, Mike? Because he hasn't soloed in a glider yet, has he? That's something I always wanted to do. Or fly a sailplane. There's a little bit of difference. You should be proud, Diana. I'd like to have seen that. I'd like to get in one. I don't know that I ever got to fly one. I got to drive around in some simulators for some of the airplanes I got trained on to work on, but we were just supposed to taxi them around the airport. We weren't supposed to go flying in them. So no solo yet, but I'm sure it's coming in the next year or two. I'm pretty sure down here you can solo and get whatever license you get for an unpowered aircraft down here when you're used to be the age 14. I'm not sure if it is now or not. I bet he has, Carol or Diana. Your dad, sorry. Okay, so I was going to talk about a little bit about, I thought about talking about national parks. And then I thought, well, maybe we'll just talk about some we've been to or some we'd like to go to. So, and then I got to looking at national park signs and I discovered that some of the national park signs are really kind of cool. So, what does two mean, Diana? What did I miss there? Anyway, I'll keep going. And so I did that, but I thought we'd still talk about where they're at, and maybe somebody's got favorites and where those favorites are and that sort of thing. Please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel and leave a comment. And you guys know the rest of that story. So I thought I would just start locally and do two things. This is the National Park Service's logo. I guess you'd call it a logo brand. This is on their signs always. And I guess any of their properties. Oops, get back up there. But this is the park that's in our backyard, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And I don't know if this is true today because some of this has changed, but Smokies was the most visited national park in the country for most of my lifetime, if not still. And the reason for that is it was close to so many people, and that it's kind of central in the east, and people north of us came and west, and from the Mississippi over, and from Florida up, and it just got a lot of visitation, at least during the summers. So we've been there many times, and used to love to go hiking the mountains and trails. And I was just looking yesterday. I think I put it up here. Yeah, I found this book in my desk that I'd forgotten I had, and it's Hiking Trails of the Smokies. And it's got maps in it, and it's got the trails in it. We were kind of working on trying to hike as many trails as we could. Oh, look, Brenda. Maybe this is where I got that little bear. There's the tag for the fetish bear that I can't find. Anyway, there are, I think it's 6 trails that lead up to the top of Mount LeConte, which is the second highest peak in the Smokies, or not in the Smokies, in the east. And for a long time, it was considered the tallest mountain in the east. But then they figured out that Mount Mitchell in North Carolina was like 6 feet higher or something. If you go to the top of Mount LeConte, you can find a pile of rocks there, because people used to say if they piled up enough rocks, they could make it taller and measure it taller, so they could get, we could be the tallest again. Carol says, we've driven through the park. I'd love to hike it someday. The Smokies are beautiful. Yeah, they are. And they're hilly and rugged. If you're hiking here, you need to be prepared to climb, but it's worth it. Is Mike leaving? Oh, no, he's talking about what's in my room somewhere. Before I ask, is there any sightings of you know who there? No. Not that I'm aware of, Mike. That doesn't mean they're not. You're more likely to have a sighting of a grizzled old hillbilly that might be running moonshine out there still. But the Smoky Mountain Park has a history, as most of them do, a history all of its own that you could talk about for days. And the neat thing about these, and I think this is an example of it, or at least a facsimile, or the way they built some of these signs out of rocks and masonry. A lot of that was done by the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. That was part of the FDR New Deal time period and they built a lot of things in this state and a lot of things in other states, but they had a lot to do with the state parks, some of the older state parks in Tennessee, and some of the national park infrastructure too. I mean, a lot of the stuff that's up there has been there since the 30s. You're going to try to make moonshine? Well, give me a call, Mike. We can talk about that. It ain't near as hard as people let on. Now, whether it's any good or not might be a different thing. Just don't use a radiator for the coil. So anyway, I just started there because that was the closest one to my backyard. And Tina, I'm not sure I found an Adirondack sign. I found another sign for, I think, your state. No, it's in Maine. Never mind. Arcadia, which might be right here in a minute. I picked Mammoth Cave out because that's where Phil lives. I've not been to Mammoth. Driven by there once, but I've not been in it or in the cave or the park, I don't think. And Cuyahoga, which is in Ohio, kind of threw that in there for, Tony and/or Rhonda. She made it. Again, you kind of see a theme to the way they've standardized on their signs, but they're not all the same. You look, and you can see a real difference in the rocks. These are quarried in Ohio, and these are quarried in Kentucky. And that other one was in Tennessee, of course. Acadia National Park, which is in yeah, I bet. Oh, Michelle said that. Yeah, that's cool, Michelle. I don't know why, but I didn't. The Adirondacks didn't pop up, and they skipped my mind. And I put this in here. I've already put Cuyahoga in here, but I found, I think, 3 different signs. That one and that one are probably the same, but this one's different. So I was just comparing the two. I mean, you go in one way and you'll see this gate, and you'll go in a different entrance, and you'll see this one. Smokies are kind of like that. There's some newer made signs, and then there's older ones like that one we just saw. Next time I'm up north, I'll take one and send it to you. For only a few miles. And foothills of the Adirondacks. Well, that's cool. That would be a cool park. I've seen pictures. Yes, Arcadia is in Maine. Acadia, I mean, not Arcadia. I always want to say Arcadia, but that's not correct. But yes, it is in Maine, Dean, or Ian. Man, I'm hurting today, guys. Sorry for the wiggle. And I assume Cuyahoga is up probably south of Cleveland area, maybe along the Cuyahoga River. And the Cuyahoga River was famous at one time because it burned. That's how polluted it was. Now, this one I'm not 100% sure about. I think I was looking for something in Michigan. I was trying to pick something from each state, and this congaree is in South Carolina. So if Kay's still in here, I picked this one out for her. And I found a record list of national parks in different states, and that's why I didn't find that, Tina. I went off that list. I'll have to go back and look at that. And Congaree is in South Carolina. Anyway, I was able to go down by state and pick out some. Some states don't have any, and some states only have one. And then there's a couple of states that have multiples. California has at least 3. I think there's more. Utah has several. Oh, I bet. Yeah, I'm sure the winters are rough on them up there. Michelle says, I'm embarrassed to say I've not heard of these parks. Oh, that's okay. Everybody's not chased down the same books I have in my life. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know anything about Congaree, and I don't know anything about this boring mill. Except this is not a park. I think this is more of a national monument or something they were trying to preserve, this drilling, this mill type. And I believe this one I want to almost say this is in the very tip of New York, down by Pennsylvania, in that area, but I'm not positive. And Everglades, now these basically the same kind of signs, but they're a little bit different. You can see this has got I think this is actually, I don't know if this is the newer or the older sign. This is the standard up here. And this part's the same on both of them, with a great blue heron and the Department of the Interior and all that. But this says Everglades National Park, which makes me think they're putting those on some of the newer signs. You'll still see this sign or this logo on a lot of things, but it seems to me like I've seen some other ones that are going to a sign a little bit more intuitive to the, no, that's not the word. That relates more to that particular park. And of course, the great blue heron, those guys are all over the place down there. And here we get up to Michigan, and we got Wendigo. It's part of Isle Royale, I believe it's pronounced, or Isle Royale. You guys get it. You can read it. I can't say it right now. Which I thought was the Isle Royal or Royale. I'm not sure how you say it. Carol, do you know? The Everglades are flat. Wait a minute. What did that show? Let me back up. Oh, that's just my background. Sorry about that, Tina. Or Michelle. That's just my background. That doesn't have anything to do with the I pronounced it right the first time, Royale. I thought that was correct. There's an interesting thing about that park that I happen to know a little bit about. If I can get up there before I go down that path, though, because I think I've got some more slides of that one. The one on the far left here is called the Great River Road, and it's a National Historic Park, but it's along the St. Genevieve River, or the town of St. Genevieve, but it runs along the historical sections of the Missouri. And I don't know if this is what what they called a linear park or a linear preserve. I did not see it in the list, and I didn't take time to look it up, but I always thought the Blue Ridge Parkway was referred to as a linear park. It was, it was just so wide across the highway, and as long as you were on the road, you were in the park. And I think it still is, or at least it's part of the Interior Department. I do know that because the law enforcement type rangers at the Smokies and that Smoky Mountains National Park also patrol and work the at least part of the Blue Ridge Parkway. Y'all get it out in a minute. Wendigo, though, is part of Isle Royale. I think it's in a particular area. I didn't look all that up. Notice the moose antlers all over the ground. That's also a significant part of its history. And here we go. Look at that beautiful water. Look at that beautiful bean footage. I don't know if you guys know what that's from. That's a commercial they do for bush beans down here. Roll that beautiful bean footage. But the Isle, here's the map of the Isle. I'm not sure how long it is. I didn't go into a lot of the details because I knew I would be on it forever. What was interesting about this island, and before it was a park, maybe after, it may have already become a park. They had a really thriving moose population on this island, but they were having trouble with it, managing it, because they would ever so often they would just have these huge crashes, and they'd be down to almost no moose, and then they'd build back up and drop and build back up, and it was very cyclic and regular, and they were really having trouble with that. What kind of saved that was a reintroduction, and it might have even been natural reintroduction of wolves. Some wolves, a couple of wolves got on the island. Eventually, there was a pack of wolves on the island, and they figured out and observed and watched and studied them for a long time, because the wolves help control the moose, because they're not hunted out there because it is a park. But they helped regulate the population enough that the two of them kind of control each other. The wolves control the number of moose that are alive every year, and the number of moose are alive is what kind of controls the population of the wolf packs or pack. I don't know if it's one pack that runs the whole place or not. But they did a lot of studies up there about that phenomenon, how it worked, and what the interrelationships were. It was really cool. I learned about it when I was in school, and I think one of my instructors was up there and either studied a little bit or at least got to, observe or something to that effect. And for the really sharp-eyed followers amongst us here, you can see it's just is inside the United States. Yeah, isn't that some crystal clear water? Oh man, I think this is Lake Superior, isn't it, Carol? Do you know, or is this still Michigan? All I know is I'm gonna say I've been up to Michilimackinac in the Sault Ste. Marie area, and when I was there, the water in the lake near the shoreline looked just like this. You could see down and see all the rocks and pebbles and stones on the bottom, and to me it was amazing. Harold says, I'd love to go to Isle Royale, even though it's in my state. It's 470 miles away. Well, that's a pretty good ways. It's only 29 miles less than driving to here. Wow. I didn't realize it was that far away. That is, of course, you're down in the lower right-hand corner of Michigan, and you'd have to go all the way up and across, to get over there. It's off the It's off the upper hand, right? It's in the whatever you guys call the UP. Lake Tahoe is clear like that in spots. I've heard that, Michelle. Crater Lake is also, which is in what, Oregon or Washington State, and had a friend that worked out there for a while, and he just fell in love with that. And it's a very deep lake, and it's very very clear. Clear means cold. And usually it does in those cases. And I don't know how warm the Great Lakes get now, but I remember them being pretty chilly when we were up there. Anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about the Isle Royale. If you're interested, I'm sure you can find lots of material online for that. Like I said, I didn't take the time to look it up, but it's got some interesting history. Doink. And here's a couple more things. There's another sign. Why I doubled up some of these. Here's another ad, I guess you could call it, or thing for that would be posted or mounted inside the gift store of the like Congaree State Park. I don't know. Is Kay still in here? Crater Lake is in Oregon. Okay, I knew it was one of the two. I thought it was Oregon, but I threw Washington in there just in case, you know. And I gotta hedge my bet just in case. Shenandoah National Park is another one that it's alongside Skyline Drive, and basically Skyline Drive is an extension of the Blue Ridge Parkway, but it's in the Shenandoah Mountain Valley area, and where this national park lies on the ridge of the Blue Ridge, along the top of the Blue Ridge up there. I'm not sure how far down the mountain the park goes, but it all comes. If you've never driven, if you like to drive and just take your time and look at something, or if you do ride a motorcycle, I don't know if anybody else in here does. The Blue Ridge Parkway and Skyline Drive are almost a must do to me. I love to ride the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's not fast, even though some people try to make it fast. It's a great road. It's got a lot of that early Corps of Engineers, Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC type architecture, and it's just relaxing. And there's no commercial vehicles on it, no trucks, just cars and pickup trucks and motorcycles, personal vehicles. The speed limit's only about 40, 45, which seems terribly slow, but when you're up there riding it, every time I've ever ridden it for any length of time, I just always got off feeling so relaxed and not really tired. It's just a really cool ride, and it's about 400 and something miles long altogether, I think. I've never ridden it from end to end. I've ridden most of what I've been on is in the lower part of Virginia and North Carolina. It runs from Cherokee, Carol. You've been to Cherokee, I think. It runs from Cherokee all the way up to nearly to or right to Sharps Ferry in at the edge of West Virginia and Virginia. Is that right, Sharps Ferry? It's where John Brown tried to capture the arsenal. Surely they have a history buff in here that can tell me what that is. I can't think of it right in a minute. I think it's Sharp something. Carol says, we were looking through my mom's old photos after my dad passed. They had so many pictures taken in front of various national park signs. Well, that's really cool. They really enjoyed exploring that country. Carol, if you've got any idea about time or dates or years or anything, you ought to write it down now. It's like we talked about last week. When by the time your kids get it or you pass it down, nobody will remember who it is or what they are. I mean, that's just what happens. And I'll make sure I didn't skip. I felt, for some reason, I feel like I went too far. Nope, I guess not. So I'm moving west, kind of, and I get them mixed up here because, well, just cause I wasn't that organized when I put them together, I guess. Big Bend National Park is one of Philip's favorite parks, if not his favorite. He's been out there several times camping. One time on a motor, I think he's been out there once on a motorcycle, but maybe it's always been in a truck or in a car to camp. But it's one of the least visited national parks in the country. Sorry, everyone, I have to step out. Something came up. Diana's still here. Have a great long weekend. Okay, Mike, you take care. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Hope everything's okay. It's just down kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's down in Texas. It's right along the Rio Grande River. It's just a big empty patch of desert mountains. And like I said, Phil has really enjoyed going down there a few times. So I highly recommend it, even though I've never been. I used to know a bunch of guys. There used to be a bunch of motorcycle people that I was a member of a touring group, and they used to have an annual ride down there in the wintertime, or maybe it was January, somewhere right in there. They'd gather down there, a few of them, 10, 15, 20, and they'd just ride around through the park and visit the sites that are down there. It's a really large park. White Sands National Park has got it's a really cool thing. It's gypsum dunes, white, not really sand, but it's actually gypsum, which is basically what they make drywall out of in your house. But they don't from out there. But that's also where the missile range is, in the Rio Grande. Yes, it is, Ian. It is right down there on the Rio Grande. Anyway, that's where they tested a lot of missiles, and not too far more they tested the early nukes and that sort of thing. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a museum you can go to there and see some of the history of that rocketeering. And I'm pretty sure that's part of the national park. I don't think that's Air Force. John here, is he gone to? He might know. And, you go north from there a little ways, get up into Utah, and you get into, there's Zion. There's also Arches. I think Monument Valley is in Utah. There's Arches, Valley, Zion. There's another one I can't think of. There's several in Utah. They've got at least 3 really big, famous national parks that are all about scenery and Western geology. Carol, we were at the Sand Dunes National Park, and my wife said, "Let's take that sign. Let's take that sign." So in my family, we call those pictures taking the sign now. Oh no. Let's take that sign. Maybe you just mean you're going to take your picture. You're not unscrewing them and taking them home, right, Ian? If you are, I'd advise you probably not to say that on here, because it might be used against you. Some more in that part of the world, Canyonlands, which is also in Utah, I think. And here you can see a pretty faded old National Geographic National Park sign. Department of the Interior sign, actually. And the Petrified Forest National Park, which I believe is in Arizona. And Bandelier National Monument. I'm not sure exactly where that's at. I don't know if I can't remember if that was New Mexico or Texas. I don't think it's very big. And it's a monument, not a park, so it would be smaller anyway. But And of course, we've been here before. Well, is that the same Grand Canyon sign? No. We got Carlsbad Caverns. We've talked about that. Mark went there and we had some pictures from his visit. And I couldn't resist the corgis. Diana, do you like corgis? You would need a flatbed tractor to take that. Well, that's true. That's true, Ian. Those are big. But I didn't know what kind of size you were talking about. But anyway, I like the corgi picture here at Carlsbad. And Phil's also been to the Grand Canyon National Park. Some of you guys may have been too. Brenda's been there, but she doesn't remember it. She was only about 2 or 3 years old. And but Phil's been there 2 or 3 times. He has family that lives in Arizona, and he's hiked to the bottom of it a couple of times, in and out, and that's a pretty good walk. And people that hike out there and go down into the tourists that go down out there and then try to hike down into the canyon. It's amazing how many times he's been out there and run into people who didn't carry water with them. And then they have to be rescued by the Park Service, and they charge for that. And they're not shy about adding the hours and the time to it. I know coffee dries you out even more, but my mouth is like sucking all the water out. I'm so dry right now. Oh, I forgot to take you down, Carol. Tim, I just sent you a picture of me in Petrified Forest. Oh, really? You're the smallest kid in the picture. I'll pull that up just in a minute, Carol. Thank you. Anybody else wants to do that, I'll throw them in here. Because I meant to let you guys talk more or invite somebody in that's maybe been to parks. There are a few people out there who have made it a point to see as many national parks as they can. And there are a few people out there that still hold on to one of those golden passport kind of tickets that gets you some kind of a pass into national parks, especially if you're over 65. And you don't have to pay to get in, or it's got some really good perks, but they cut that out in the last administration. And I really wish they hadn't done that. I forgot to go get my ticket. I forgot to go get one. I think it was then. Anyway, it's not been too long ago because Phil went and got him one. Actually, might have been longer than that ago because his mom was still alive, I believe. Anyway, that would have been nice. My mother-in-law currently touring the Northwest, adding national park to her list. Well, that's cool. That's cool, Ian. Did we already talk about her being out there? I don't know. What did Diana say? Corgis are cute. Okay. Well, Mark's got a dog that's partly corgi. Not Penny. The one they just got for Boone, that little dog. Cowboy. He's the cowboy corgi, I believe they call him. He's a mix between one of these guys and then like a real cow dog, seems like. Oh, yes, I remember the park. I remember park passes. We used to get state park passes in New York. Yeah, that's another thing. You can still do that here, and I think they're about the same price, at least in this state, still. But you can get one for the national parks, although I can't remember now what it's called or how much it costs. Once you're 65, it may be, you might still be able to get it for a lifetime or the rest of your lifetime, but you still have to pay for it. Seems like for a while there, they were free if you were either disabled or old enough. We used to have people come and get them from our office because we used to sell them also being a federal agency. And they were mostly for, well, they give you a discount on camping too, I believe. Because the Smokies doesn't charge an entry fee, but if you go in there and camp, you do have to pay at the campgrounds. No, we didn't. I know she's been to Glacier and Olympia. I've got those in here too, Ian. She's flying out to Alaska soon. Oh, man. I don't want to go to Alaska. I've wanted to go, and I've missed going 3 times now, or almost getting to go. And one of the most famous national parks in the country. Everybody seems to know about Yellowstone. And I found 3 different signs that they listed as entry signs for Yellowstone. Don't know which one's the newest, but I thought it was interesting. Instead of rocks, they use posts and trees to make their sign, so they're wooden instead of rocky. They probably last longer out there as wood than they would back east because it's less humidity. And the weather's just different. Think she's in the Puget Sound now. Oh wow. Yeah, it does, Ian. That's why I figure it's got different signs at it. There may be these all look like they're in different locations. These 2 could be at the same spot, one replaced the other, but it's hard to say. Different angle if it is. And here we got Crater Lake, which is, as we said earlier, was in Oregon. We got Olympic National Park, which is along the coast of either Washington or Oregon. Please correct me, Ian. And Denali, which is in Alaska and has the Great Mountain. I'm kind of glad that this used to be Mount McKinley, and some maps maybe it still is, but I'm glad they changed it. Or most people refer to it now as Denali, and the national park is Denali. What does that say? Oh, park and preserve. Okay. Yeah, I'm coming your way, Michelle. I think Joshua Tree is in Southern California. If I'm not, or I guess it'd be Southern. It's pretty deserty. Sequoia's out your way. The giant sequoia redwoods. And I thought this was cool. I read about this. This sign is actually made out of it. This sign apparently is huge. And I'm sorry I didn't get a picture with somebody standing by it. But you look at it, these 2 signs are both sequoia, but they're different from each other. And this one that's got the carving on it is supposed to weigh, I can't remember how many pounds they said this. It's a big board they carved this out of, and it's one piece, and the sign's pretty heavy. And it was, I guess if you go out there, you'd see a sign somewhere that told about it, the way I understood it. Put in Hawaii, that's way out west. That's past you, Michelle. Oh, you guys have been to Sequoia and Rocky Mountain National Park. I read one time a few years ago that Rocky Mountain National Park was the least visited national park in the country, even less than the one in Texas. Hang on, guys. I'm sorry. I'm getting worse instead of better. And again, it was just one of those unheralded parks that people didn't know much about. Have you ever been there, Ian? Ian says, I just sent you a picture I took in Alaska. Okay, I'll look at it. And you mind if I post it, Tina? But anyway, I want to put in Volcanoes Park. I know Elena won't be in, but maybe she'll see it sometime. Rocky Mountain National Park is often at capacity. Oh, it is now. Okay, well that's good, not good. It's good that it's getting used. It's good that it's attracting people now because at one time it was not. But it also means it's probably getting too used, and that's one of the problems with the Smokies, with having so many people come here. It just over time it wears things out, and it requires money for maintenance, and there's not always there's not always any money for that, it seems. And no, I should have skipped ahead for this. Oh, I didn't realize this was a photo vault picture. Damn. Well, anyway, I should have got this before Mike left. Hopefully Diana's still here. I didn't want to forget our friends in Canada. They have parks also. And there's Waterton Lakes National Park. Welcome to Canada. Banff, where they have the famous film festival. I'm sorry, Diana, I can't seem to stop. I thought Banff was on the other side of Glacier National Park in Montana, but is that true, Ian, or somebody who knows, or is that now called something else? I know there's a section there, I believe, between the two parks. It's like International Peace Park or something, I think. I apologize. I should look that up. Looking at a 2022 most visited parks, Rocky Mountain was fourth. What was number one, Ian? Now, or in 2022? Well, the fact is, it's the top five. Or type them in, whatever. I mean, I could look that up. I can do that. Let me do that, Ian. I can say it easier than making you type it. Great Smoky Mountains is still number one, or was last year, with 12,937,633 visitors. Wow. Because Grand Canyon National Park is number two, and they only had 4,732,101. In Zion, which I've heard is becoming more and more popular also, had 4,692,417, and Rocky Mountain National Park had 4,300,424. Here's some. Let me see. Here's a 10 most visited list. I think might be one of those tricks and clicks that tells you something else. Okay. I was reading this thing and then I decided, wow, Cuyahoga is the 9th visit. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Joshua Tree's 8th. Yellowstone is 7th. I'm actually surprised by that. Yosemite, or correctly pronounced Yosemite, is 3,600,000. And Acadia is 3,900,000. I'm not surprised by that being that's number 5. Wayne, and you can see how much difference. I mean, the Smokies had 12 million people in it last year, and the next nearest one has less than half of that, under 5 million. With Glacier at 10th, Mark and Larry and Judy, his mom and dad and sister, all went to Glacier many years ago, and they used to talk about it often because they really. Oh, he's looking. Well, I just read them, Ian. I think not sure about Banff and Glacier. Okay, I got to figure that out, Ian, because I now that I've said it, I've got a map open here. Hang on just a minute. If it's on here, if it'll be on here if it's marked. Glacier National Park. There's rat up there in the corner. Well, that's where Waterton Lakes National Park is. That's the other side now. And I think I've heard that called Waterton Lakes Peace Park. Maybe that's what I'm thinking, but that's on the other side of Glacier. But you know what? I think that was called something else years ago. Now I don't know. Now I'm not sure what it was. There's a provincial park up there also. I'm not going to try to say it. I'd embarrass myself and say it wrong and insult people. Anyway, the two parks join. I know that, and have always. That's always been the unique thing about them. And you know what, guys? I know nobody cares about this, but I am missing the football game, Tennessee's football game. I just realized what I'm doing here. Not yet started. Well, maybe I'm not. Let's start at noon. I thought it started at 11. Okay. So anyway, some more Canadian parks. Jasper is a national park in Canada. Not sure exactly where that is. Elk Island, which is further north, I think. I did look that one up, but I can't remember what area that's in exactly. And Point, I don't know if that's Peely or Paley. And if you know, Diana, by all means, tell me. Surprised about Yellowstone. Figured because of the show, everyone would want to go. And I always thought Yellowstone had a lot more people too. The problem with Yellowstone and some of these parks is just even though Yellowstone is really famous and big and all that, and it's still kind of isolated from large population centers. And that makes a difference. They used to say that the majority of the people in America, at least outside of California, were within a day's driving distance of the Smokies. So if that tells you anything, that has a lot to do with the population there, or the visitor rate. And so now I kind of moved into something else, but this is a park, and this is one I know not personally, but I've known motorcyclists that go up there and ride along this Cabot Trail. And basically, this road follows the coast out of Maine. I think somewhere out of Maine, or maybe that's just where they cross over. But anyway, they can ride up along the coast of Nova Scotia on this road, this Cabot Trail. And I've heard a lot of people talk about what a cool ride and how pretty that is. Getting off at 10 noon to go see if it's a real deal or still just a train wreck. Well, I can remember when they were the real deal, Ian. So believe me, I know how that feels. And these are just some metal signs you can buy at places like gift shops in Gatlinburg or the knife store or other places. And I think they're kind of cool. I've got some prints that look a lot like this. The national park, I believe they did this on all of them. They produced some posters very similar to this in this style that they were selling, or maybe they still do it. You can buy in the national parks as a fundraising effort, really, for them. Yellowstone is always running up. Yellowstone is always coming up in my Google feed. Sadly, it's always stories of idiots who try to take selfies with buffalo or trying to touch the geyser water. Yes, or falling into one of the bubbling pits and being roasted alive, or getting too close to a bear. Talking about how cute the cubs are. Oh, they must be lost. I don't see mama. Rawr, and then they get eaten. But I just think these signs were neat, and I've got a couple of them already in there. But Grand Teton is one I didn't put in there. That's in Wyoming, up near Jackson Hole, south of the one we just talked about. There's Yosemite, which I thought this sign was a lot cooler than this one. Don't know which one's newer or older. I think the one on the left is the newer one. I think. And here's two from the Smokies that I found are just metal signs. The one in the upper left is an old style sign. They used to do that one. They used to make signs like that for wildlife. I think the state did that too. Maybe I'm not positive, but I think it was the state. Last moose I saw was in Grand Teton. Is that this year, Ian? I love people getting close to bison. Ian, you're devious. Well, I appreciate that, Carol and Ian. Thank you. I could have done a better job, and I'd like to do a better job. I'd really love to know if anybody's got a favorite. Got to step out for a minute. Be right back. They, many years ago. Okay. But then this Denali one I thought was really cool too, because I'd like to go to Denali, and that's got a caribou or a reindeer, whatever you prefer to call it. And Michelle said, I sent you 2 pics of sequoia. It's hard, not too great, but I had to take a picture of my screen. Okay, well, I think this is my last slide. Yep, the end. And I think this is a Canadian sunset, by the way, Diana, if you're still here. I got this, I believe, off one of the Canadian Parks websites. So there you go. I'm in with Canada. So now I'll go pick up those photos you guys have shared with me and see what I can do with them. Bear with. Do I have that open? Nope. I need one of those. Where's my? There it is. I need one of those little marching signs, that has popcorn, the hot dogs, and the things they used to show in the movies to, get up and go to the concession stand while we rewind the film or repair this, where the film broke. How many people have been in the room, have been in a place where they were showing a film and the film broke or melted through the center because the light got too hot? Okay, let's see. Instagram. Michelle. 2 photos. It says there's 2 photos. But I don't see them, Michelle. Not yet, anyway. Maybe they'll come in a minute. Who else told me they sent me somebody else besides Ian? Well, I don't know. Oh, there's a pretty photo. Oh, here's a good one. Let's see if I can show you guys this one. I've never figured out how to manipulate the well, maybe I can. No, maybe I can't. I haven't figured out how the really right way is to manipulate photos out of Instagram, if there is a way. Okay, I'm going to show you a picture Mike sent me. It's because I found it first. And I do believe this is Alexander probably sitting in the cockpit of an F-18 Hornet. That's a good picture, guys. Let's see. Can I get another one? I don't want to. I need to be careful while I pull it up here, probably. I don't want to pull up anything. Addresses or anything like that accidentally. Who else is talking? Michelle, that happens to be me sometimes. The person receives it, but it's just a message that says photo and the photo won't open. Who else said they sent me? Oh, Tina did. Okay, let me see if I can get that one. Oh, shoot. I closed it. Aha, there they are. They're good enough. They're good enough, Michelle, I think, if I can just get them off here. Says I have to use the latest type of Instagram to see these kind of messages. I guess I'm using it then because I can see them. Aha, I got it. I got it. I got it. He got it. He got it. Okay, now I might have it figured out. All right, hang with me. Let me see if I can put anybody else's pictures in here. Oh, no. Mike Wheeler said Jimmy Buffett passed away yesterday at 76. Oh, man. Rest in peace, Jimmy. I hope the waves are good. Man. Well, that's a little devastating if you're a Jimmy Buffett fan, which I am. Hang on a minute. Yeah, I got. Oh, that's Hannah. Okay. Ian got to go. Okay, Ian. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you coming in. I'm going to rub it in on Mark since he wasn't here today. Hopefully, you can come back again real soon. I didn't share, but it bummed me out this. Oh, you knew about it. Oh, man. One of the best concerts I ever went to was Jimmy Buffett in Nashville. Well, obviously, I didn't know till just now. So I got it from Mike Wheeler. Okay, Tina sent a photo. No, these aren't going in the way I want. I can still show them. And here's the last one, I think. Okay, now I don't know how this will work, but we're going to find out. Right? I was reading something there. Brenda, did you attach something? Oh, Brenda's not. Golly, she's attaching food pictures. That is so unfair. What is that last one? Oh, Brenda, you should make some of that. That looks really good. Oh man, I woke up this morning and walked in the living room. There, Brenda sat watching. Well, actually, she was asleep. She was watching one of her favorite YouTube persons, and they were making a homemade butterscotch pie. Sad day for parrot heads. That's right. Hey, Dawn, welcome in. Yeah, I just found out. Yes, it's a sad day for parrot heads. That's right. I'm very upset about that. All right, let me see if I can present this and see how it does. I'm not sure how this is going to work. It may not work very well at all, but we're going to give it a try. Okay, now can I make that more bigger? More bigger, more bigger. No, not yet. But this little bitty girl right here, I think, is Carol, who is with us today. Where'd you say this was, Carol? I thought that news had gotten around. Jennifer is going on the Margaritaville cruise today. Oh, man. I said, I wonder if they will do a special tribute to them. Surely they will. Did that Margarita cruise? I wonder if that was supposed to have him on as a performer. He always seemed to be the soundtrack for pivotal parts of my life. I know exactly what you mean, Ian. Well, he's gone, but I do. I've got a bunch. I had a bunch of his music on. I've got some on record albums. I've got some that I can't play anymore. I've got some on. Had some on DVDs and cassette tapes, and I listened to it on Amazon Music fairly regularly. Petrified Forest. Okay. I can't make it any bigger. I apologize. I could, if I could download them in a different fashion, I would. Maybe I can save them a different way. Oh, yeah, maybe I can. All right, let me, can you guys see that picture? I can. I don't know if you can. This was sent by Tina, I believe. And I don't have to look back up and see where it was. Is this Adirondacks, Tina? I'm looking to see where she sent me a note. Okay, I must have missed it, Tina. Would you mind telling me again? Alaska. Oh, Alaska. The land of my dreams. Tell you what, let me run through these real fast and then see if I can't make them bigger in a minute. I'm going to close that one and close this one. Okay, here's the one with Michelle and baby Hannah. And you said that was where, Michelle? Is that Yosemite? That's been a few years ago. Baby Hannah. And we got one more. And I think that's just one of the mountains there. Is that El Capitan? Do you remember? Or that's in Sequoia. Okay. Is this one also Sequoia? Is that? I know it's not El Capitan if that's the case. I was trying to save these so I could maybe expand them. Not sure if it'll let me or not, but it might. Okay, let me stop sharing that for a moment. And let me see if I can make them more bigger. I've lost my whistler. I just can't whistle anymore like I used to. Okay, let's see here. If I pull this one up first. And then I do this. All right, guys, these might be a little grainy, but they are bigger. So let's see if we can see a little bit better. How about that? And this is Tiny Carol over here on this side. Who's got their hand on your head, Carol? Are they trying to hold you down? Were you a jumper? There was this one meadow under the mountains full of wildflowers. Oh wow, I bet. I'm trying to read chat, guys. I'm not. It may look like I'm falling asleep, but I'm trying to catch up. Anyway, there's baby Carol. Carol never did say if somebody was holding her down on purpose. Yeah, Carol, are all those your siblings? If they are, I'm guessing you were the baby of the family then. My sister Judy. She'd kill me if she knew anyone saw that picture. Surely not, Carol. That's a good picture for kids. I mean, I love that because you got kids doing kid things. You got one there that's, the boy, the only boy in the bunch is either brave and about to fall off standing on one foot or showing that he can or that he's going to jump. And then you got a sister beside him is like indifferent. He's sort of holding on to her. And then there's one there in blue shorts that I get the impression she really don't care one way or the other if he jumps. And then you got a big sister that's got one hand on you, and for all I know, got another hand on holding the boy's belt loops. So that's a typical family picture. I love it. Yep, I do. Let me see if now I'm going to pull up. I think I can do baby Michelle now, or not baby Michelle, baby Hannah the same way. I've been listening to. I'm going to listen to Jimmy Buffett now the rest of the day, but I've been listening to there. Now let's make it bigger. There's Michelle and baby Hannah. She was a lot smaller back then, huh? Not as tall. I started to ask something really dumb, like where's Gabe, but he wouldn't have been in that picture. I'll tell Mark it looks like she's got on moccasins. He'd appreciate that. 9 months old. Wow. She was probably already hard to hold on to. Well, that's a good picture. Great smiles. All right, now let me see if I can back you up. Okay, there they are. That was it. Here's Tina's picture. It was a little bigger, and I know this is not when I blow them up like this because of how I've copied them and put them in here. They're not it messes up the resolution, but you can still see it. Alaska. I guess reading about it and stuff when I was a kid, just for some reason, always made me want to go up there and see those mountains and just so many stories and about bears and gold rush in the Klondike and just things that had to do with that tied in with Alaska that I've always been fascinated. We might have to explore Alaska one weekend. Okay. You're going to see some of these again. You might see some I didn't show before. But I'm looking for the rest of the other Michelle picture and wasn't there one more? Or no, maybe that was it. Get a better look at these pictures though, because they're bigger. Well, I can anyway. Well, since I got this up in the video, let me see if I can figure out how big this island is. Don't see any mile markers. No reference to length of trails. Okay. Can you like to know who these kids are? I mean, and when that was taken at Mammoth Cave? Two little Kentucky kids that grew up to be who knows what. Well, Michelle, maybe I didn't get your other picture saved. Hang on a minute. Let me close your eyes, everybody, if you get car sick. Is that it? Well, there it is. That's the kind of meadow or mountain valley open land or parkland, open land, pasture, whatever you want to call it. Mountain meadow where I expect to hear an elk bugle off in the edge of those pines over there with his head reared back and all the cow elk out here paying attention to who's who. Which boy is going to get their attention? Or bull in this case. Okay, guys. Well, that's all the slides I got. What time is it? It's 12:14. It's probably about time to go anyway. I'm sure football game is started by now. Tennessee's got to be playing by now. And if they're not, I'm going to be really upset. I'm having to watch it on my computer because maybe I can't. I got to figure that out. Anyway, and I know Michigan's playing, and I'm not sure who Ian's pulling for today. I want to thank everybody for coming in. According to this, we've had 13 viewers today. I hope everybody hits that like button or an unlike button. But this, that's a good, for me, that's a big crowd. And the coffee's still hot. So, if anybody that knew the chat, by all means, get you a cup. Your game started too. You're welcome, Michelle. Thanks for coming in. Great to see you on here. And Carol, hey, there's Dad Belts. Hey, buddy. I didn't know you were in here. Glad you said hi. Glad you came to visit. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. All that stuff. Well, thank you, Diana. It was kind of an off day, I'll admit, but it was, what I'd like to do maybe is go into more detail about some of those places. And Alaska could be a really good show. Just the whole state, not just to mention Denali. If I had gotten one of the jobs I'd looked at and thought I might do one summer was going up there to work on some airplanes. The guy had a concession for flying passengers in and out of Denali from Anchorage, I believe, and they were looking for a mechanic, and it was on an airplane that I was familiar with, so I started to go up there. I mean, I considered it, but that was the year we decided to move the family up to this where I'm going now, where I went to school later, and here in Knoxville, and I didn't want to leave that to Brenda to have to do all that by herself. But I wanted to go so bad. Anyway, I am going to call it a day. Thanks everybody for coming in. I really appreciate everybody being here. And if you happen to be watching on Team Replay, thank you so much. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, guys. They say it helps grow the show. I'm not trying to get to be a huge influencer / creator kind of person, but never hurts to have a few extra people around. You never know, you might get in and talk about something really interesting. So bye, everybody. Have a great Saturday. In fact, this is Labor Day, so hopefully you've got plans. Isn't it Labor Day? First Monday is 1st September. That's always Labor Day, right? So I hope everybody's got plans and can get out and do something fun. Hopefully your weather will stay nice and you can do that. So have a great day, everybody. Good to see you, Chris. Always. It's always a pleasure. See you, Doug. See you, Carol. See you, Diana. Tell Mike we said hi and missed him at the end. Thank you, Tina. Dun, 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 dun.